Hey everybody, it's Conger Live. First things first, only 25% of you are subscribed. Ninja, kick that like button. Subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. With that said, let's get into the video. What's up everybody, it's Conger Live, and we're back again with another TMNT Mutant Madness video. And if you couldn't tell already, this is the new tier list for June. Get excited! I know a lot of you have been asking, when is the next tier list coming out? Well, I try to do it around the beginning of the month. So here we are. So you might notice there are only 2 S characters now. We had 4 and 5 and even 6 in the past. But after discussing things with my clan and we went over a bunch of stuff together, the Turtle Titan had a great way of describing what qualifies as S tier, and you'll notice there are a lot more A tiers, kind of because of these different descriptions. So the S tier are non-interchangeable meta characters. These are toons that you should basically always have in your squad if you have access to them. Now you'll see my shredder isn't 250 yet. You need 19 billion, 19.7 billion maybe, something like that, to take a character from 225 to 250. So I'm getting close. So he is someone I'm going to be taking up to 250. Why haven't you taken him to, say, 240 then? Well, because those skill marks really matter. And I like to have that ooze so I can level up toons for the mutations, which I've been doing a lot lately. Because it's fun to play with things and help you guys figure out what works and what doesn't work. Alright, so non-interchangeable meta characters, April and Shredder. Now, A tier interchangeable meta characters. So your main 5 team, April, Shredder, and any 3 of the A tiers is going to be a really solid choice. Now we got a bunch of different toons in here. I of course love Donatello and Splinter. I got them at 250. Taka's at 250. That's because I invested in these before the major changes. And I actually find I'm taking Donatello out more out sometimes. I'm taking Splinter out sometimes. I'm taking Taka out sometimes. Depends on what I'm doing, whether it's Channel 6, PvP, Adventure. All excellent toons. Personally, Leonardo hasn't been the greatest for me. I only have him at 225 as opposed to 250, but he just seems too squishy to me. Yes, he's got great support, helping the team out, and he does decent amount of damage. He just doesn't quite hack it for me. I actually enjoyed using Casey Jones more than Leonardo when I had to choose between those. Zorax is still a great character, even though he used to be the best of the best. As you can see in my box, he's way down here, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with dimension level, because he has more power than Sam, Leo, Campestra. But his dimension level is what keeps him down here for me. But I still use him in Channel 6 often because his special ability, he's able to move pretty far and do decent, really decent still single target damage. Right? I don't have Chrome Dome, wish I did. Now Trag, he was our S tier that we moved down. Some people may not even think he's A tier based on how we were using him last week. The guys at the top still use him at 250, 5 stars. I think he's great. If you're brand new to the game and you pull a Trag at, say, 3 stars, I think he's going to do great things for you. It's in this 4-star range that if he doesn't have a lot of dimension levels, then there's going to be, then it's kind of sometimes hard to maybe use him. I think that's why Donatello is actually the better pick for me, because Donatello being one of those 2-star heroes, he has a lot of dimension level. You're able to get him a lot sooner. But if you're newer to the game and you start pulling Trag at 3 stars, definitely worth using. He can still do a lot of great things for you with the defense that he gives to the team. So that's about it for our A tier characters, except for Drag. Drag moved up. I use Drag in Channel 6 for one of my levels. He just goes Super Saiyan. As you see, I have some equipment on him here, and he's at 28k. So technically, he's like my 6th strongest character with the gear that I have. And that's even with a very limited amount of dimension level. So Dreg actually is really great. He also reduces like the strength and the focus of the enemy. So some people feel like you could use him instead of Donnie. Up to you guys, right? But definitely like all these tunes in the A tier. Going down to the B tier, these are non-meta tunes, but they're highly effective when boosted. Highly effective when boosted. Now, Mondo, I think we had him up in A tier for a while. After playing with Mondo a bunch in my alternate account, even at 3-star at first, he was great, but he just didn't quite hack it. Casey Jones actually does better for me. I've got Shredder now. He does better. Still not a super fan of Leo, but I think that Leo overall still better, of course, than Mondo. Mondo's still a great character, just not quite that A-class tune. He is highly effective, especially when boosted. When Mondo has been boosted, every time I've seen Mondo boosted, he wrecks it. He kills it. He's amazing. Anthrax, of course, we just saw him in a mutation. He was doing great. He does some nice damage, especially if the enemy has that damage over time. Metalhead, great tune with his stun. Rocksteady, great tune, especially because you can get him so early on. You can get a lot of dimension levels for Rocksteady. Technodon, actually pretty darn good when it comes to his effectiveness, but non-meta. His turrets aren't as survivable as maybe we'd like them to be. Ray, great tank. Ray is one that's like, oh my gosh, maybe he should actually be up in the A tier. He does such a good job, but I think that if you're going to be choosing a tank as a tank, Toka is definitely the better pick. If you don't have access to Toka, use Ray. Ray is one that could easily be moved up. Slash, another one, I don't even know if he's a B tier personally, but based on what the discussion we've had with everybody, Slash still makes it into that B tier, but he is as a new player, you get a 3-star Slash drive. So if you want a safe, decent damage dealer, you can have him be your first 3-star and use him for quite some time. But I just don't feel like he's that great. He's just okay. So B tier is pretty good spot for him. Maybe even maybe he might move down to the C tier. He's just okay. Now Ace Duck actually moved up. I was excited about Ace when he was new. We crapped on Ace a bunch, and especially after that Dimension mutation, he did amazing. And then on my alt account, I actually got him at 3-star, and he's actually done really well, even just in Channel 6 and in Adventure. And he did help me out a lot in Adventure back in Season 2 when I was first in love with him. Not an amazing tune, but definitely extremely effective when boosted. Now, I think a lot of the reasons we think some of these boosted effectiveness is what they are is because of the bug where you get a double bonus on offense. So he may drop later in the future again, but as for now, he's solid. So if you're new to the game, you get Ace, don't be upset. Go ahead and use him. He stays alive for quite some time. Rai, personally, no great experience with her. I actually recently got her to 4 stars. But she should be very effective when boosted. Samurai Leo, I've used him when he's boosted. He's done a great job when boosted. Outside of being boosted, he's just okay. C, D, and E tier characters. These characters are non-meta with moderate effectiveness when boosted. Like, maybe they do okay. You wouldn't necessarily want to switch them, like, use all of them. If there's like 3 of them that are in there for boosted, but maybe one of them can go in with one of your A or B, swap out for those. Leatherhead's kind of just rode level C, tier C for quite some time. So Renette, I'm not sure if she really even deserves to be in C tier. Her kit reads really well, but with all the experience I've used with her, just haven't found her amazing. Haven't really used Mona Lisa, haven't really used Lotus, but the feedback. Zach, maybe when mutated. Krang, he's, for new players, you get his 4-star drive. I personally think go for random. Notice how Krang is like literally in the very middle of this map. There's actually more characters. You get a better chance of getting somebody who's going to do better for you, I think, overall, than Krang to pull a random 4-star. Of course, my alt, I got Michelangelo. So I failed on that big time. The frogs, they're decent. They're okay. I was using Genghis on my alternate account, and he was doing actually pretty good for me. He's fairly tanky. They fixed his ult, so he's able to go to the best spot with his special, which is really nice. Even if you're doing manual play, which I've done with him, you don't have to target it. You can just tap it, and that really frees up your brain power to focus on the other tunes that you do want to target with. Now, as you saw in yesterday's video, I believe Super Irma is actually doing really, really well in this meta, and not in the meta, but in the mutation. And she was actually in B tier, but we moved her down based on what everybody said. But I'm thinking she could have actually stayed. She possibly could have stayed in the B tier. But she's definitely the best out of the 3 mutation characters this week. Frosty, how the mighty have fallen. One, he was brand new. He was the best tank, but he just doesn't quite cut it. And one of the things, once again, it could be the dimension level that really keeps him weak. Raphael, unfortunately, my favorite turtle, is down in the C tier. Now, the D tier characters, these are non-meta with low effectiveness when boosted. So even when boosted, these characters probably don't want to be using. Muckman and Rat King are the newest characters. We do have limited information about them, but even with the mutation, the guys who had given me some 5-star gameplay, Muckman was just meh, right? And Rat King, with being the season pass hero, we're limited on how much dimension level we can get. We can only take him to 4-star. His rats just don't have the survivability or the damage to really do what we feel like they should do. If the rats had more hit points, or if the rats did more damage, maybe he would be moving up. Dementor, unfortunately. Razar, he's just mediocre all around. Granitor, same thing. Snow Mikey maybe should have stayed in the E tier, but when you compare the 2 Michelangelos, Snow Mikey is slightly better than Michelangelo, so we did move him up. But I'm thinking moving down to the E tier, the non-effective, non-meta, non-effective, even when boosted. Baxter, I'm finding, has been effective for me when boosted, so maybe should have put Baxter up in the D tier, but once again, overall, just bad characters. I know that they want to fix some of these characters or do more things with them, like Marshall had mentioned something about increasing the effectiveness of the Michelangelos, of Bebop. Savanti's just too squishy. Tempestra dying way too easily. So that's it. I touched on every single character and letting you guys know why we've made these changes. Just to recap, S, non-interchangeable. You want these 2 in your squad all the time. A, fill the squad with the rest of these with what you have available, what you've invested in. Make sure that your squad is fairly well-rounded. So one of the tanks, one more support and one more damage from there would really round out that team really, really well. Of course, if you don't have all those options, anything from the B tier is still going to be a decent option to fill in that 5th slot for you. C, D, and E, I wouldn't really bother. Maybe just depending on what's available to you. Once again, early in the game, you could use a couple of those C class characters, like maybe you could use Leatherhead or Genghis or Irma, Krang. I think those are the only ones I would say are okay to use if you don't really have many other options. The rest of them, forget about them. If you pull them, just let them sit at the bottom of your box and keep on grinding. That's it for today's video on the new tier list. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to ninja kick that like button and subscribe for more TMNT Mutant Madness content. We'll see you in the next video.